Welcome, everybody, to the Kung Fu on Command podcast. And I am your host, Brandon Lindsay. And today, we are going to have a little segment called The 48 Laws of Kung Fu. Yep, that's right. Now you see, my favorite author of all time, he's affected my life in so many ways. He goes by the name of Robert Greene. And I've read all of his books several times, and I've listened to all of his audiobooks several times, especially when I'm in the gym. But the book that has had the most impact on my life is his number one best-selling book, The 48 Laws of Power. Now, in this segment, I am going to talk about how his book, The 48 Laws of Power, can be compared to the Kung Fu world. So we're going to start with law number 1, which is never outshine the master. Now, what do you mean by that? Well, let's have a look and see. You see, the worst mistake of all is outshining the master. There's a quote here that Robert wrote from a famous guy. I can't even really pronounce his name right now. But it says, being defeated is hateful, and besting one's boss is either foolish or fateful. Most people don't mind being surpassed in good fortune, character, or even temperament, but no one, especially not a sovereign, likes to be surpassed in intelligence. In the 48 Laws of Power, Robert Greene echoes this sentiment of this quote that I just read. You never outshine the master. Greene writes, always make those above you feel comfortable, superior. In your desire to please or impress them, do not go too far in displaying your talents, or you might accomplish the opposite. Inspire fear and insecurity. Make your master appear more brilliant than they are, and you will attain the heights of power. You see, outshining the master is the worst mistake of all. Everyone has insecurities. When you show yourself in the world and display your talents, you naturally stir up all kinds of resentment, envy, and other misfortunes. This is to be expected. You cannot spend your life worrying about the petty feelings of others. With those above you, however, you must take a different approach. When it comes to power, outshining the master is perhaps the worst mistake of all. Almost everyone, including you, wants to seem more brilliant than what we rightfully deserve to be. And we don't like people to remind us of our shortcomings. Those who attain high standings in life are like kings and queens. They want to feel secure in their positions and superior to those around them, especially in intelligence, wit, and charm. It is a deadly but common misconception to believe that by displaying and vaunting your gifts and talents, you are winning the master's affection. Now, he may appreciate this, but at the first opportunity, he will replace you with someone less intelligent, less attractive, and yes, less threatening. There are two important points to consider. Number one, you can outshine the master without even trying. And number two, just because you are loved doesn't mean you can do whatever you want. Now, let's quickly explore these 2 points. Now, even if you're not trying, you can outshine the master just simply by being you. This happens easily. If your boss is insecure about things, natural wit and charm will be enough to draw unwanted attention. If your boss is incompetent, then obvious competence will do the trick. Either find a way to mute the side of you most likely to draw or avoid people, to draw in people, or just avoid people where being you is likely to naturally outshine them. Now, second, never imagine that being loved or valued affords you the freedom to do what you want. Your status is only secure to the point your master is secure. They must think that they are better than you. Always leave them with this feeling, no matter what. Now, how does this tie into with Kung Fu? Well, first, before we get to that part, I'm going to briefly talk about a story that I once heard. Now, I'm going to slaughter it because it's been a long time since I heard this story. But brief, I know the gist of it. So, I think this was in the ancient Roman times. There was a soldier, a general. In every battle he went into, he came out victorious. He was one of the best assets to the Roman Empire. And quickly he became beloved by the citizens, the Roman citizens. Whenever he would go into battle and come back, he and his fellow soldiers, brethren, they would march back into town, and then the town would just throw a huge parade. It delighted everybody to know that the heroes come back to town from another successful mission of conquering. He became very popular all over Rome. So popular that come election time, the Caesar at that moment, I don't know who the Caesar was, so it's an old story. But the Caesar in power, he began to feel a little insecure. Why don't the people cheer as loud for me when I walk through the town like they do for this general? Oh no. He might be coming for my throne. Let me nip this problem in the bud right before it grows to be something that I can't handle later on. So what did the Caesar do? Well, I'll tell you. The Caesar promoted this general into a high-ranking office job where he wouldn't be going to battle all the time. Gave him a lot of money. as soon as the crowd forgot about him, because he was no longer marching back into town because he was in office, he disappeared. And then shortly after, they found his body washed up on the shore. He was assassinated and killed. You see, this in particular general outshined the master, who was the Caesar at this point in time, without even trying, just by simply being him. Just by simply being a more capable fighter than maybe the Caesar. And the Caesar, his insecurities couldn't handle it. So he got rid of him. He saw him as a potential political threat. Now this brings us back to how does this tie into Kung Fu? Well, I'll tell you. There is a very highly capable Grandmaster in Sifu, I think he lives in California, by the name of Sifu Gary Lam. And he's an older man, but he's put in the work. I think he comes from the Wang Shang Lang Wing Chun lineage. And he has several schools all over the country of United States. And he's a very highly capable person. He's a great martial artist, and he's done a lot for his community. He was being so kind enough to, this is a few years back, but he was doing a seminar, I think somewhere in Sweden. And he's training with some people interested in training Kung Fu. He's doing a demonstration. He's training with his student. And he's doing this demo in front of a crowd. You know, he's trying to get more people to train in Europe, his branch in Europe, in Sweden, I think. I could be wrong, but I think it's Sweden. And they're training, they're doing their drills, they're doing their demonstration, and everybody's in awe. And then someone from the crowd who is training in this in particular lineage, but just he hasn't had much time with this Grandmaster Gary Lam, because he's a guest. And he raises his hand and he says, all these things that you're showing are interesting, but can you demonstrate these things on me? So, Sifu Gary Lam, he says, sure, come on down. So they begin to touch hands, they begin to work out and train. And Gary Lam's trying to make his point. And in front of everybody, now mind you, Gary Lam is explaining, he's demonstrating, he's doing all these things, he's trying to show the techniques. He's trying to explain to the young man and to the crowd as well, so he's looking away, he's explaining. And then the guy, he sees an opening and he punches the Grandmaster in the face. In front of everybody. Oh, this made the master mad. So they work out, they start working out again, then he turns on the juice. The guy's still being a little bit resistant. So Gary Lam punches him in the face once. The guy's still not buying it. Lucky shot. They're training, they're practicing this drill. They're doing chi sao, which is like a rolling of the hands where you can punch. Gary Lam punches them 1, 2, 3, 3 more times. Guy's still not bothering it. So they get back at it again, they get back to rolling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Straight blast from Gary Lam into the face. He's up the energy. The punches look like they're starting to hurt. The guy is being embarrassed now. This in particular student, but he still goes at it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's punched again. Straight blast again. And then he steps back and puts his hand over his fist and bows. I think he got everything he needed to know right then and there from the master. And then the crowd go, did you just see that? They were in shock for a split moment. Did you just see the Grandmaster had to punch this guy so many times? And then I think Gary Lamb maybe told a joke and cut the tension, and then things went back to normal. But the reason why I bring this point up is many martial artists, no matter if it's kung fu or anything that you're training, you're always going to get that one guy who's just not buying what you're saying or what you're demonstrating or what you're showing. And rightfully so. He's not obligated to take your word for face value. And then he goes and does something that makes you have to take it to the next level. Makes you have to step it up a notch just to prove your point. Now, the guy, Gary Lamb, was open. Now, mind you, he was distracted because he was trying to demonstrate something. And the guy probably thought, like a guy like me who's just only been training for X amount of years, I shouldn't even be able to hit this guy. Because he did punch Sifu Gary Lamb. But then this attacked Sifu Gary Lamb's pride, and his insecurities came out. He was in front of everybody. He's trying to get more people to sign up. He's trying to show something. It's a seminar. I don't know what the situation was, but it's in front of a huge crowd of bystanders. And it strikes a man's ego. His insecurities come out. And he had to make this in particular practitioner, maybe he's training, or maybe he's no longer training anymore because of this incident. He had to make an example out of him. In this situation, the young practitioner shouldn't have tried to outshine the master, because he was quickly made an example of. So next time when your Sifu or sensei is talking, and maybe you don't understand or you're not quite buying the technique, feel free to ask him about it. But ask in a way that's not challenging his ego or masculinity. Because you could be the next example being made of. Now, in the 48 laws of power, most laws can be reversed, not every law. And this law can be reversed. So when should you outshine the master? And the answer is simple. That's if you can beat him. If you can beat the master at his own game, if you can get rid of him, if you can destroy him, by all means go for it. But you better be sure, because if you miss your opportunity, the master will not miss and will quickly make a quick example out of you. Okay, that's been my time. Thank you for listening. And if you're on YouTube, checking out this video, another episode of the Kung Fu on Command podcast. If you like this style of video, style of podcast, please let me know in the comments below. My name is Sifu Brandon. My name is Coach Brandon. My name is Dad. My name is Son. Husband. brother, all these titles I get. And you just got kung fu at the press of a button. And that's what I like to call kung fu on command. You can find me on Instagram at Vienna_kung fu, YouTube Kung Fu on Command, and I'll check you guys later. Peace. I'm out.